rap star Young Thug has become one of the most influential artists to emerge out of the Atlanta's infamous hip-hop scene in quite some time. But now he's facing serious charges with an arrest this week on suspicion of gang involvement and conspiracy to violate the Georgia criminal racketeering law. In fact, the rapper, whose real name is Jeffrey Williams, well, he's been charged in a sweeping grand jury indictment that consists of Thug and 27 other individuals, including the likes of fellow hip-hop superstar Gunna. Now, on the bright side of fame, Thug has proven to be a majorly influential artist over his decade-plus career, with 3 of his studio albums reaching the #1 spot on the Billboard chart. And while some of his lyrics unquestionably deal with violence, his success is generally believed to be rooted in his broad musical palette and his delivery that's playful, if not, well, at times bizarre. But on the dark side of fame, these new accusations, they go far beyond the bizarre. Now, Thug has been charged with conspiracy to violate the RICO Act, and what's worse, these are further accusations that include participation in street gang activity, also armed robbery, and murder. And while this is by far the most trouble that Young Thug has ever found himself in, it's by no means the first time he's been in hot water. Now, whether it's previous criminal charges, horrendous takes on rap royalty, transphobic comments, or even the death of his first baby mama, well, Young Thug, his life has never been a simple one. So let's investigate just how far down this rabbit hole it all goes in our newest episode of The Dark Side of Fame. Now, I haven't hosted one of these in God knows how long, but yeah. This is a big news story. Here we go. "2017 was a busy year for Young Thug. Now, in March of that year, he was featured on Drake's new album, More Life, on 2 tracks titled Sacrifices and Ice Melts. But by the following month, well, things they would begin to go south. Now, first, he was arrested at a nightclub for reportedly slapping a woman who was said to be arguing with his fiancée. Now, those charges, they were later dropped due to lack of evidence, but that was just the beginning. Now, in April of 2017, well, police, they raided his then home in Sandy Springs, Georgia, which would result in him being charged with felony cocaine possession, felony marijuana possession, and 3 counts of felony gun possession. But Thug's lawyers, they would argue the cops conducted the raid without a warrant, which would lead to the DEA dropping all charges except for the felony marijuana possession. Close call, well, to say the least. Also, proof that Young Thug, he's been lawyered up for some time. Now, by the end of that year in September, well, Thug, he would once more find himself arrested, this time in Brookhaven, Georgia, on multiple drug possession charges and possession of a firearm. In fact, our dude, well, he was basically a walking pharmacy. He reportedly had on him hydrocodone, marijuana, amphetamines, alprazolam, codeine, and meth, which at the time was, he was also being charged with the intent to distribute. How can you carry all of that at once? My God. Now, these charges, they would kind of fall by the wayside as Young Thug, he carried on with his career, and he became even more famous over the subsequent years. But remember what happens here, because it's going to come back to bite Thug in the ass big time. Alright, so you can't become a modern day rapper without beefing with a few of the figureheads from the generation before you. And Young Thug, well, that guy's no different. Now, sure, these might not be serious crimes, but hearing about them, it does help provide context for the kind of ego that Young Thug has. Now, his horrible rap takes, they began a few years ago when he was interviewed by GQ, and well, he decided to go in on Jay-Z. He stated, "If you're 30, 40 years old, you're not getting listened to by minors. Like, Jay-Z has some of the sickest lyrics ever, but I would never buy a CD, just because of my age and because of his age. By the time I turn that old, I ain't gonna be doing what he's doing." But Thug didn't stop there with his horrendous Jay-Z takes. Now, more recently, he appeared on the $1 Million Worth of Game podcast, and he insinuated that he had more hit songs than Hova.
"When I perform, I got 30, 40 songs that the whole stadium gonna know. They gonna know these motherfuckers, all 30 songs.
And that's some powerful shit.
Yes, Sirski.
There's not a lot of motherfuckers that can say that.
Jay-Z ain't got 30 songs like that."
Now, of course, once reality hit and he thought about what he had said, well, he quickly backtracked that comment. Now, he was less quick, however, to take back the things he said about Andre 3000. Young Thug's outlandish fashion and unique approach to music, it often has people comparing him to the legendary former one half of Outkast. But despite their similarities, or maybe because of them, well, Thug seems to have a surprising distaste for Andre. Now, during an appearance on T.I.'s podcast, he even went so far as to claim he's not familiar with Andre's music.
203,000 songs. I ain't never paid attention to him. Never in my life.
You crazy.
You missing out.
He'd then go on to say, the difference between Elton John and Andre is Elton John likes to kiss ass, and Andre, he likes his ass kissed. Kinda strange to me, but not that big of a surprise that he knows all about Elton John. I'm sure they have more in common than we think. Anyway, that's quite the controversial statement, but probably not the worst thing Young Thug has ever said. For that, well, of course we have to go to Twitter to dig up some old tweets. Now, in February of 2020, Thug made the baffling decision to go in on NBA legend Dwayne Wade's daughter, Zaya, with a tweet that misgendered her on purpose. Earlier that month, many celebrities, they were coming forward with support and praise for Gabrielle Union and Dwayne Wade's daughter after Zaya came out as transgender. But Thug, he wasn't having any of this love and support. Instead, he penned a tweet that read, "All I want to say to Dwayne's son is God don't make mistakes, but hey, live your true self." Now, almost immediately upon pressing post, well, Thug was hit a barrage of tweets accusing him of being transphobic. A few hours later, he'd delete the tweet, but it remained unclear why a man who once said that he didn't believe in gender during an advertisement for Calvin Klein would go all in on a young kid like this. Now, for the record, during that ad, Thug stated, "In my world, you can be a gangster with a dress, or you can be a gangster with baggy pants. I feel like there's no such thing as gender." He then backed that up by appearing in public countless times in dresses, skirts, heels, and other clothing, typically associated with the female gender. Something that the public would have no problem reminding him, to point out his hypocrisy. I remember when we first found Young Thug, like 2015, and he was all about, calling his boys his babies. It was insane. Anyway, to this point, everything I've mentioned has been more or less something that Young Thug has brought upon himself. This next thing isn't, and it's also far more tragic. Now, Thug, he's had a ton of kids. In fact, he's got 6 children by 4 different women at last count. But earlier this year, the first woman he'd ever had a child with, well, she lost her life in a tragic shooting at an Atlanta bowling alley.
There believes the shooting and killing of 31-year-old Lakevia Jackson is just the start to more violence. The mother shares a son with popular rapper Young Thug.
Now, according to authorities, Lakevia Jackson was shot and killed after an argument broke out, which was all over a bowling ball. Now, reports would suggest that Jackson was there to celebrate her friend's birthday, and according to Jackson's mother, the suspect waited for her daughter in the parking lot and then shot her to death as she was heading towards her car. And while some believe that this might have been a direct result of YSL beefing with other Atlanta gangs, no one yet knows for sure. Now, Thug first met Jackson when they were teenagers. Their son is now 14 years old. And on the night that Jackson was killed, well, Thug and Gunna took the stage for Billboard's South by Southwest concert series, despite what had happened. A pretty heartless decision, all things considered, but I'll give the guy the benefit of the doubt and assume that he hadn't been told about what had happened just yet. He doesn't get the same excuse for what's about to come next. In May of 2022, District Attorney Fani Willis of Fulton County, a woman who once investigated whether or not Trump and his allies committed election fraud in Georgia, well, she vowed to crack down on Atlanta street gangs. Now, in the past, Miss Willis has called gangs the #1 threat against public safety in Atlanta, and she claimed that they were responsible for as many as 70% of the crime in Georgia. Now, Young Thug and his YSL collective, well, they're firmly in her crosshairs. This week, Thug, alongside 27 other individuals, all of whom are members of YSL, otherwise known as Young Slime Life, or even sometimes Young Stoner Life, well, they were hit with a 56-count indictment. According to prosecutors, YSL began as a criminal street gang in late 2012 in the Cleveland area of the ATL. Now, they were claiming affiliation with the National Bloods gang. Now, Thug is considered to be one of the founding members of the group alongside Walter Murphy, aka DK, and Trontavia Stevens, aka Ticker Slug. Sorry, I might have butchered his name. Now, Thug's individual role in all of this is worth digging down into a deeper hole. He's being named as having committed a number of illegal acts for which he is not charged, but which are described as overt acts in furtherance of YSL's criminal conspiracy. Now, among these allegations are an instance of threatening to kill a man at a mall and possession of methamphetamine with the intent to distribute it. Remember those charges from back in 2017? Yeah, I told you they would come back to bite him in the ass. Now, furthermore, in 2015, well, Thug is also alleged to have rented out a silver Infiniti Q50 sedan that was used in the commission of a drive-by murder of a rival gang member known as Donovan Thomas Jr. In fact, 5 men in total have been charged with Donovan's murder, including DeMonte Kendrick, aka Yak Gotti, a rapper on Thug's YSL label. And that wasn't the only hit ordered on Thug's watch, it just so happened to be his only successful one. Now, he's also been accused of hiring 2 more YSL associates, Christian Eppinger and Antonio Sumlin, to attack and kill the rapper known as YFL Lucci, while the latter was incarcerated in prison. But that hit, it didn't work out. Now, the indictment further claims that after the killing of Donovan, Thug appeared in a video in which he stated, "Get killed, bro, from me and YSL." Now, in another video shortly thereafter, he'd reiterate, "I never killed anybody, but I got something to do with the body." Now, each of these charges against Young Thug are considered felonies. There's also a long section of the indictment titled Acts in Furtherance of the Conspiracy, which cites a range of incidents between 2013 and 2022, including Pee Wee Roscoe's 2015 felony offense of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon, otherwise known as the time that he shot up Lil Wayne's tour bus. Roscoe's conviction was overturned in 2018, but the 88-page indictment contains a lot more than just that, including tales of witness intimidation, carjacking, robbery, theft, and drug dealing. Many of the acts listed under this heading, they are from YSL-related songs, videos, and social media posts, especially lyrics that are deemed to further the conspiracy, examples of which include Young Thug's single, Just How It Is. Now that features bars like this. "I escaped every one of the licks because I was supposed to be rich. I don't care nothing about no cop. I'm telling you just how it is. Hit him with the Mac now his whole body's scabbed. I done for the crew, I done did the robbin', I done did the jackin', now I'm full rappin'." Sorry guys, I know I'm butchering these lyrics, I'm trying my best. Now, using rap lyrics against artists is something that prosecutors have used for decades, but most critics and fans argue that rappers, they should be given as much freedom to explore violence in their music as others, like Quentin Tarantino does, with his respected films. Now, since this story is still breaking, we haven't officially heard anything from Thug himself. We have, however, heard from his lawyer, Brian Steele, who has come to his client's defense by stating that YSL is in no way a street gang and that the way Thug has managed to transform his life, it should be something to be marveled at. He stated, "I'll tell you the response to any allegation. Mr. Williams committed no crime whatsoever, and we will fight to my last drop of blood to clear him." Now, as of right now, Young Thug, he is being held in Fulton County Jail. Since the story is still developing, we'll be sure to fill you in on all the details. We also dropped a video over on Famous News, kind of breaking down what's going on, and we'll be updating you there daily on all the ins and outs on this case. From Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, all the way to Young Thug and Gunna, man, celebs everywhere are going cray-cray. The pandemic wasn't good for anyone. In fact, here in Canada, there's like a singer named, he's from Headley, it's like a rock band, and that guy's on trial for doing some naughty stuff. Lots of celebrity news, guys, so be sure to subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you guys in another video. Boom!